Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stephan Knecht from the Swiss company called Bones Incorporation. And it's true, we make hardware devices for the blind and visually impaired. Actually, they are of the size of a credit card. This is one example of such a device, of a reader actually. They come in different colors too. So the concept of these readers actually is, well, obviously they are small, they are easy to operate with a limited amount of keys, and, well, battery runtime. When you see the features actually, it's not just a book player, it's also a note taker for voice records, it's also a time management thing with agenda functions, an alarm clock, an FM radio, a color reader, a barcode reader that could identify objects, and so on and so forth. So you see the elephant coming. It's more a daily companion. It's not something that you use maybe half an hour in a day and then put it aside, but it is expected that people carry it around throughout the day. So this presentation splits into two parts. Actually, one is rather techy. How did we crack the problem of playing back EPUB, EPUB3.x on this, let's say, limited device? And number two is then some hints as an outlook. How do we try to make the player talk more natural, that it sounds like more like a real person speaking? So please stay awake during the tech part to get the second part as well, which could be very interesting for publishers or all kind of content creators. So first of all, when we look at the resource gap that we have, when I look at the cloud things and the operating systems that have been presented before, we have virtually no memory and no CPU power in here. We do not have an operating system like Windows CE or Linux and the like. So when we play back a format like EPUB, or DAISY, or Audible, or NLS encrypted books and all that stuff, sometimes we feel like an ant looking at the moon, asking itself, how could I get there? Now, the solution, as it obviously works.
Couverture, occupe-occu, ISBN 978.
So this is EPUB 3.0 or 3.1 actually from Hachette. It's a book playing.
Fayard, 2017. Harmonie, harmonie, la martinière, premier niveau. Régler l'heure de la mise en veille. Premier saut de phrase.
And so on. So it has all the standard functions like jumping ahead, jumping in time jumps, making bookmarks, and all the like, everything you would expect from a typical book player. And the solution, how to get there, is, well, divide and conquer. We do actually run through the whole book at the very beginning, and we take out what is relevant and skip the rest. And then we make a little format that is very relevant to the spoken content and forget about the rest. We cannot display a JPEG picture. We cannot show a movie because there is no display anyway. So this is how the thing works. And it works actually pretty well. So how to crack an EPUB book, which could be pretty complicated, is like this. It has two parts. One is a preparation part, which is parsing the whole content, and with a state machine, we build the logical structure of the book and make an own little data pack that is a presentation of the book in a very simple, easy to read format for the CPU. And this is done once for a book before it's played back, and during playback actually, the player does not know anymore that this was an EPUB book or a DAISY 2 book or whatever. Now, the first part, the preparation, has been highly optimized. For a typical book, it takes about 2 seconds to run through the whole book and extract everything it needs. The longest preparation time that we had found was a copy of the Bible with 5,000 files, which took about 20 seconds to run through. And then it was set up for proper playback. Just as an example, when we say, okay, we have to look into the book and extract with the state machine what is relevant, see this example of the OPF file. When we extract it, then we have state machines covering the first part, like the metadata part, then we go into the manifest, and then we go into the spine to collect the relevant items that we need for playback. So this is the very top level. But what is interesting, this is all it needs actually. Of course, behind these individual functions there could be a longer code, but that's reusable over and over again. For instance, we put this first. We wanted to play back the EPUB books first and then adopted this way to do it into the other formats like DAISY 202. And as another example, the ncc.html rules, they would fit on 2 pages. That's it. We were done like in half a day to program the DAISY player on this system. That was impressive, actually, and it works pretty well. So how do we do this approach? First, obviously, we have a tremendous reduction in complexity because we split apart the analysis time and the playback time. So we took out these 2 things. Second, obviously it's flexible for additional formats, additional features. You can add on other things one by one. For instance, we have one project with a Scandinavian library, the book provider also. They have slightly different flavor, how they create content, and it can easily be adopted. The second example is a German news provider that we are working with. He has a completely different XML base of data, and all we need to do is set up another one of these rules to extract what is relevant to our playback system, and we're done. The third advantage is actually pretty interesting and nevertheless important. Books have errors, they have faults. Not many, but sometimes. And the worst thing that could do is if a player just stops. It stops talking, because then the user is lost, and there's no way to make it work again. Like it could be a crash, it could be an endless loop, it could be that it misses a few minutes and then jumps wherever. These things must not happen. And when going linearly through the book at the very beginning, you can take out such errors, correct them, and then you don't have to care about it anymore once you play back the whole thing. We publish the complete source code of this book player. We do that on our homepage, actually. Why do we do this? Because we make our living from hardware and not software. And we would like to enable others to have even small devices to play back EPUB content or any content. And we will publish this on our website in the next 1 or 2 weeks, actually. This was part 1. This was very technical. Now, number 2. How do we try to make the playback system more natural? And there is one golden rule. Whenever you do something, maybe for the visually impaired, try to orient yourself at the solutions for the sighted people, because often they are optimized in an interesting way. Example. Like, look at this. Emphasis or stress in speech. If there is a word written in italic, it means something special. Okay, we can read this sentence by the TTS.
Beim Balken hereintragen zerbrachen Sie das Fenster. Sie hätten ja auch das Fenster öffnen können. Das wird Sie teuer zu stehen kommen, sagte er. Sie bestätigte. Mit Sicherheit.
So this is just a standard TTS playback, as it would sound if you feed the TTS system with the text as it is. Sounds pretty boring. This is because an italic word means something to the sighted reader. He knows that there is a special attention to this word. And naturally, if you speak the sentence in front of a person, it would sound differently. Probably you make an increased pitch, you read it a bit slower, and you make a special vibration to it, just for the word öffnen in this example. So again, this is the standard way.
Sie hätten ja auch das Fenster öffnen können.
And now we try to emphasize a little bit.
Sie hätten ja auch das Fenster öffnen können.
That was the difference. It's different. Now if you try again, if you italic the wrong word, it sounds different again. Like for the third example, if you write Fenster in italic.
Sie hätten ja auch das Fenster öffnen können.
It's a different meaning. And it's actually important to transform such things into audible output. So we are glad that in EPUB and other formats, this information is given because it's a representation of the written, like the optical output of a book. What unfortunately is not in the format, at least I did not find it in an EPUB or any other format, is the information about the speaker. Who is speaking?
Beim Balken hereintragen zerbrachen Sie das Fenster.
Sie hätten ja auch das Fenster öffnen können. Das wird Sie teuer zu stehen kommen.
Mit Sicherheit.
Now it's more a play. It's like it's getting towards a theater. Now you understand much better who is speaking and what is the emotion behind it. And if it's anyhow possible, then we would be very glad if such information could be added. Who is speaking? How old is he or she? What style is that person? That would be very interesting because the machine can do it. We just need the information. It could be a competitive advantage for an author if he enters this information into his book. It reminds me of a classical theater book, like a booklet where a theater play is given. There usually at the beginning the characters are described. How do they look like? What age are they? And these things are missing in electronic books. But it could give them a lot of value if the output is audible. So this is one example. Then another example how we try to make our output more lively and natural. We use fly-by intuition for playback at full speed. 3 examples in that. Bullets. If bullets are read out, often they have no punctuation at the end. There is no comma or no exclamation mark or anything. So many reading systems, they just run over the bullets and do not actually pause between them. And what we do when we read such a thing in an EPUB, we briefly pulse the vibration of the machine, like zit, zit, zit. So the user knows that was a bullet, that was a bullet. And it does not interrupt the flow of the system. This is what I mean by fly-by intuition. The second thing is there are footnotes within a text or links, and a sighted reader sees, it's a footnote, it's a link because it's underscored, but we give the feedback just with a slight warm beep. So while the system is reading, there is a beep at the in parallel, not stopping reading. So the user knows, okay, there's a footnote, or a different beep, there is a link, and he could stop the machine, left arrow, and then enter the footnote. If he's not interested in the footnote at this very moment, just continue without interruption. The same is true with tables. If there is a table inserted somewhere in the text, or a picture actually with additional text behind, then there is double tone, and usually the system just runs over it, and you can pause, left, and then enter into details of such thing. So this is how we transform the input from the EPUB books. Why do we still do the whole thing? The company was founded 2003. I think people told me at the very beginning, don't do this. It will all go into mobile phones and stuff, and you're dead. And what happens is we have the second best year in 2017, and when we asked customers, how do we actually perform, they liked a piece of dedicated hardware. As an example, if you have a TV at home, you could operate it with your mobile phone, but most people prefer the remote control to operate the TV, like something dedicated, because it's very efficient. It's targeted to that particular need. So also we have a partial tech advantage. That's because runtime is like 40 hours with a standby time of months, actually. If you don't use it, it just switches off. And another thing is we have a memory card slot on the side, and for visually impaired, it's actually a common way to physically send memory cards, which they put into the machine, press one button, listen to the book, take the card out again, and send it back. That's what many people do, in fact. Of course, we are online as well. It has Wi-Fi, you can do it. But many people of our clientele, which is usually it's people more in the 50s or 60s, actually, of age. They prefer a physical thing to operate. And last but not least, we have a partial marketing advantage because we control our own adoption speed, meaning we cannot change too quickly. We must stay the same way because we have an industry teaching and informing their customers how the thing works. For instance, we have the US Veteran Association, which heavily works with these devices. And if we change one thing, there will be calls coming to us like, why did you change this and that? Because we make education based on the previous version. We don't want things to change because we have training courses and the like. So we don't have and we cannot change too fast, unlike the consumer market, which is an interesting marketing advantage to be slow. That's it from my part. So I'm ready for questions, if you have any.
Hello, I'm here. Oh, sorry. Oh. Hello, I'm Daniel. Yes, I have a question. So, in principle, EPUB3, and I say in principle because unfortunately not in practice, but EPUB3 supports CSS3 speech, pronunciation lexicons, PLS, also a W3C specification, and the third one is a very small part of SSML, synthetic speech markup language, specifically for phonemes and phonetic alphabet. So, in principle, it's there for people to use, for content creators to produce in their markup, and for reading system implementers like yourselves to process and to deliver a better speech experience. Is this something you've looked into at all?
Now you got me. This is really rather technical. Okay. I think we looked at it. I'm not sure how much we worked into it, and secondly, I'm not sure how much it is used in practice. I don't know.
Zero, as far as I know. This is what I'm asking you.
Okay. So, as we did not find it in the books, we did not care to dig through the whole standard to do something with it. But I'm glad it's there.
It's the chicken and egg problem, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other question?
There's one. Yeah.
How would you like the speech, like you're saying, the gender and the age of the person could be put into the EPUB? That could be very simple to do. How would it be passed to your system? Would it?
Well, there is two ways to do it. You could do it with tags inserted right into the text, as you saw before, with these slashes. Or secondly, they could be defined at the very beginning as a rule. If this person, ABC, speaks, then this set of voice with its tags is used. Was this the right answer?
Yeah, I would just need to know where that information is
okay.
to do it.
Yeah, it's straight in the text, actually. The text that is typed. So I just learned about CSS things that could be used for that. So maybe that would be the proper place to put it, to be according to the standard.
You mentioned that tables present particular problems. So you mentioned you could either skip them or listen to details. How do you render
what happens?
Large tables to speech?
What we do is we use the button as a navigation cross. And then obviously you start at the cell on top left, and then you could go with the arrows and up and down keys just through the whole thing. And at any place in the table, you could ask for help, and then it tells you, okay, it's this column, it's this row with the index values on the top and the very left, and then it says again the content of the cell.
Yes, Daniel spoke about very technical and detailed markup, but at least when in the text there are language markup. Let's say in a French book, we switch in English or in English words. Do you interpret? Do you change? Are you able to interpret tagging that says we change from French to English?
Actually, we do, and there is two things to go along with it. One is modern TTS languages have a mode to switch, actually, between different languages. And the second thing is we could load a complete second voice in real time, just switch on the other, then switch back to the first one. But to be very, very open, this currently is a licensing issue we have with our TTS provider, which will be solved. But for the machine, it's very easy to switch from one language to the other if the information is given. If not, then it just reads what it has.
Yes, just one question here. I just wonder, how do you handle mathematical function with TTS? Did you have any solution for that?
Yeah, actually, honestly, not yet. No, we did not implement it. There is certain suggestions how to do it, and we did not implement it yet, but we must do it in any case.
Thank you.
Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I just wanted to ask about italic being translated as emphasis in speech. Does it matter what kind of markup you have for the italic?
It is working right now.
You mean what kind of markup?
Yes, what kind of markup in HTML?
No, actually, no.
No.
So
I can have an emphasis tag or an I tag or do it anyway.
Yeah, we pick any one actually, and we do distinguish according to the language spoken. Like an italic in German is something different than an italic in English. It's it's just the way how the voice changes.
And it can be done with CSS also.
Yes, also. Okay. Yeah, there is multiple ways. Yeah.
Okay. Could you start?
Okay, then.
There.
Thanks a lot, very much.
Hello, everyone. It's so great to be in the DPUB Publishing Summit again. Presenting here is always a pleasure. Great organizers and great audience here. So last year, I introduced the Accessibility Baseline Project, an initiative from DAISY Consortium, which is funded by Google Impact Challenge. The objective of the project is to collaboratively create the specification for accessibility, the specification that defines the minimum criteria for accessible publications, and not only create the specification, but also create the infrastructure for facilitating its implementation throughout the supply chain from the publishers through the distribution system to the end users. So 1 year has gone by, and we have made a lot of progress in that. So let's go through what we have achieved in the last 1 year. So Daniel will be helping me in this presentation, making sure that what I am hearing through my computer, you are able to see the same things, because the screen readers can make the things out of sync on the browsers. So last year we introduced this project. We went through the 4 dimensions, 4 pillars of the project. One is the specifications, then the tools for implementation, then the reading system testing methodology to help the reading system developers in making their products more accessible, and then knowledge sharing, dissemination of knowledge about accessible publishing and reading through inclusivepublishing.org, which is an online information hub. And we talked about a great breakthrough that happened in January 2017, the release of first ever accessibility specification for EPUB3. And so, after this great initiative, what are the next steps? We know that specifications and guidelines are essential, but these are not effective without proper implementation. And to drive the change on the ground, we need effective tools and effective resources. So the next step was to develop these effective tools and resources. We worked on 3 main projects over the last year. One is ACE, Accessibility Checker for EPUB. Other one is SMART, Simple Manual Accessibility Reporting Tool. And third one is Accessibility Knowledge Base, which has all the guidance regarding accessible production. So let's go through these initiatives one by one. Starting from ACE. ACE version 1.0 was released this year in January. So ACE is an automated accessibility checking tool. What does it mean? It means that you just give one command and ACE produces a report. ACE runs all the automated accessibility checks and puts everything in one report, and it also provides visualizations for helping the operator in making judgments. So it is not a complete conformance tool, because we all know that for complete accessibility checking, we need human verification. We need human inspection. But ACE is a great helper tool which helps in the conformance process. It considerably reduces the human labor involved in inspection, manual inspection. ACE is free of cost, it's open source. We want more and more publishers around the world to use it. So it's a command line tool at this point of time. We know that it's a problem for some people because technical people use it, but people with less technical competency find it difficult. So but you just need to give one command. But you will not even need to give this one command in the near future, because we are concrete plan of coming up with a simple GUI in some months, which will be followed by a more comprehensive UI. ACE can be used as a standalone tool, and ACE can also be used, it can be integrated in your production processes using the HTTP API. So let's see what the publishers say about ACE. Here are some testimonials. Simon Collinson says that ACE makes accessibility as a concrete target and provides clear steps and the hierarchy of severity. Eugene Reyes from HarperCollins says that ACE is easy to use and it provides wonderful details and is accurate. Apart from this, a great initiative has been taken by Luke Hoda in Hachette. Hachette had made it mandatory for their service provider to run their output through ACE before they submit their content to Hachette. Really great initiative, Luke. Looking forward to more of such initiatives in the future. Vital Source is also in process of implementing ACE in their ingestion workflow. So publishing industry has taken ACE in a very good way, much more than we expected. Now let's talk a little about SMART. As we discussed, that ACE is automated testing tool, but we need a comprehensive conformance tool, and this is done by SMART. So SMART walks your quality assurance person through a comprehensive suite of tests, and it doesn't require that your quality assurance person is a real expert in accessibility. We know that the third-party certifiers and the publishers may not be having very, very high-grade accessibility expert. So even if your quality assurance people have average accessibility expertise, then also Smart can guide them through the conformance process. And Smart is as smart as Matt Garish. He's the main developer of this tool. So when Smart works with ACE, it makes it very efficient. The workflow becomes very efficient. It eliminates the unnecessary tests, and the user have to go through only small number of tests. Now let's go through a demonstration of tool, and let's see what's the difference between the two. I'm starting the command line for ACE. So you just need to give one command, ACE-O output, then that directory of the report, and then the path of the EPUB, press enter. That's it. It's parsing, it's analyzing the EPUB, and the report is generated. Here is the report. Here one is the JSON report, which is machine readable. I'm not a machine, so I will leave it. I will go into the HTML report, which is more human readable report. So here is it. So as I said, the ACE provides the output, two kinds of output. One is automated checks. Another one is visualization to help the operator make decisions for the accessibility errors. So first, we should go through the violation tab. Daniel, if you can scroll down. So it provides you this huge table where it lists all the violations and the warnings. It tells you what is the severity level of the violation. It gives you the rule set, from which rule set it is coming. It will give you the path, exact path of the error, and also provide you with the code snippet so that you don't have to open the EPUB and get into the code to identify the error. And then, on the extreme right, you will see that it also provides you the detail of the errors and provide a link which leads you to the relevant page on DAISY knowledge base where you can find the ways of improving or rectifying this error. Moving to the next tab, metadata tab. We are hearing since yesterday how important is metadata for republishing. So ACE extracts the metadata from the publication and presents here. Here is the all metadata, but we are more interested in accessibility metadata. Here is the accessibility metadata. So here it has detected that this publication doesn't have any accessibility metadata, and it is suggesting to add the schema.org metadata and also the conformance metadata in it. Moving to the next tab, Outlines tab. Here we enter into the visualization. So this is the visualization of the hierarchy, the headings of the publications. It provides you with 3 visualizations. One is directly from table of content, the nav document of EPUB. It gives all the entries of the nav doc, the hierarchy here. The second one is it extracts the hierarchy from the heading markup H1 to H6 and concatenate it and present it in front of you. And third is it presents you the HTML outline using the sectioning. So you can compare these 3 outputs and make a judgment whether there is some discrepancy, whether you need to make some improvements, and then rectify it. So it makes it easy for you. Then the fourth tab is really interesting for me, at least. It is the visualization of images. We all know that judging accessibility of image is very cumbersome. Either you have to use very highly sophisticated artificial intelligence, which is not perfect, or you have to go through the whole EPUB one by one, go through each and every image. But ACE makes it simple. It extracts all the images, place it into this big table. Here you can see the image on the left. Then there is alt text. Then there is the described by, associated with caption, location of the image, and also if there's some role associated with the image or not. As you know, the decorative image has role equal to presentation. So you don't need to open the EPUB again. Here, everything is extracted in front of you, and you can make a judgment whether the image is accessible or not. So this is how ACE makes the things efficient. Now let's see how Smart runs you through the conformance test. So here is a Smart. So first thing, what happened? Yeah, here it is. So first of all, a Smart tool will ask you for ACE report. So you can either browse it. If you will browse it, the JSON report will go to the server and it will be displayed on the screen. But you can also load it locally. Let's see if the internet is working. I will make the decision accordingly. Oh, it's showing it's working. Let's try. So browse. Now I am choosing the machine readable report, which was feeling neglected. I never mentioned it. So here it has imported the report. You can see that it is showing you that which features are missing in this report, and it will automatically hide the test relevant to these features. It will only give you the tests which are more applicable to this book. It will customize the test according to the book. So you can also load it locally. Here is the button for locally. You can copy paste the JSON report in its edit box. Then the report doesn't go through the internet and it is loaded locally if you don't want your copyright data to leave your computer. So you can also do this. So now the UI is configured. Now let's move to the next tab at the top, Performance tab. In the Performance tab, Smart will ask you what level of conformance you want, level A, level AA. Select it with the radio button, and then move down. Here you can see that it starts providing you the checks. It will ask you to verify the following things for each and every test, and these tests correspond to the WCAG success criteria or the EPUB accessibility success criteria. So if you want to know more about these tests, here is the knowledge base button, which leads you to the relevant page on DAISY knowledge base. You can also go to the WCAG page for more information. And what if, So here, after going through this, you can mark it pass, fail, whatever you want. And if you want to add some notes, suppose you feel that just pass or fail is not enough, and you want to inform your production team that image number 4 or 5 doesn't have the relevant alt text, you can enter such data for here in the report field, in the notes field. We are providing notes for each and every test here. So you have to go through all these tests in the Conformance tab, after which you move to the metadata, the Discovery tab. Here is the Discovery tab. So here, Smart has collected a lot of data from you, so it has become very intelligent. It has imported the ACE report. It has the information from ACE. It has also gathered the information when you were putting pass or fail in the WCAG test, in the EPUB accessibility test. So now it knows pretty well what kind of accessibility metadata is there in the publication. So it will check the relevant checkboxes by itself. You can review it, you can change it if you like, and you can also generate the markup for this. It is for accessibility metadata for schema.org. If I press enter here, you will see here is the markup. You can just copy paste into your publications and you are done. So I'm skipping some tests. That's why you are getting these warnings that this is not this kind of warnings there, because I don't want to waste so much time getting into all the tests. So after discovery, let's get to distribution. What is this? This is also metadata, but this is Onyx metadata, code page 196. So we made sure that Smart starts using this metadata before I present this into DPUB Summit, because we know that we are in Europe, and people will not like if we skip Onyx metadata. So here we have, this process is the same. It suggests you the Onyx metadata. automatically marks the checkboxes. If you want to change it, you can change it, and then generate it in the same way. It will provide you the codes that you can copy paste, and then you can move ahead. Move to the results tab. So here, it will inform you whether the publication has achieved conformance level A or AA. You can also add the name of the certifier or the name of the conformance agency, maybe your name, your name of company. And if in case you want to upload this report to some online repository, for example, Leah had this requirement that they wanted the reports online. So you can place the link to this report. And then you can just move to generation of the final report. So here is the final report. So you can see that Smart provides you various options. You want all the information in the report, which makes the report really comprehensive. You can give it to your production team for making improvement, with all the notes that you have written, all your rough work. You can, or you may be a certification agency, a third-party certification agency. You may be requiring a small version of report just for issuing the certificate. So you can configure the report as you like, and then press the create button, and the report will be created. So this is the difference between ACE and Smart, the two tools that we believe will drive the change towards born accessible era, will be extremely useful for the publishing industry for making the content accessible. We believe that these tools will be used at various checkpoints in the publishing workflows for verifying the outputs at various points. But what about the production time guidance? You will need something for that also. So as I informed in the initial part, we are working on the DAISY knowledge base. Here is the accessible publishing knowledge base. This is the microsite, which has all the best practices for accessible production. So you can go through to any of this link, where here you will not find just one or two techniques. You will find a number of techniques which are useful for different kind of publications. Maybe you are in a trade publishing, you need some things. You are in educational publishing, you need some other thing. The trade publishing may be feeling good with alternate text. At the same time, the scientific publishing may require extended description. So all this is in the knowledge base. And we are looking forward for the feedback also. If you find that there is something that we need to clarify, or you feel that we need to have some more details, some more topics, please inform us, and we will add to this knowledge base. So these were the main tools and the knowledge base, the three main projects on which we are working for the last 1 year. Now, the ACE is open source, completely free of cost. The knowledge base is also provided free, available to everyone. For Smart, we are thinking of having some kind of sustainability model. It's great that Google Impact has funded us for initializing, but we want to sustain these tools because we know that there are many great tools which are open source initiatives, but when the funding goes out, there is a challenge in maintaining the tools. We want to keep on helping publishing industry for years to come with these tools. So we are looking forward for some kind of sustainability model. If you have some ideas, we are all ears listening to it. Right now, we are planning a kind of extension of what DAISY is right now doing. We are thinking of having a DAISY conformance network, building a DAISY conformance network, and the organizations who are in this network will get direct access to Smart. They will also get direct access to the leading accessibility experts in DAISY. They will get the accessibility guidance, which is practical, which works with today's assistive technology. We will also brand this network very well so that the brand image of the organizations within this network is also elevated. And this network will also provide an opportunity to interchange the knowledge among the members of this network. We will also help the network with the reading system if they want some customized help about some target market for accessibility. So these are some things that we think we will help a lot the industry. We are thinking to have some kind of very affordable annual fee for this network. So this is one of the idea on which we are working, but we are looking forward to your inputs. If you can provide us a good idea for sustainability model, we are all ears. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we have achieved in last 1 year. The 3 main initiatives, which will be the drivers of change, we believe that it will drive the publishing industry towards the era of born accessible publications. So if you want to keep yourself updated, please register yourself on inclusivepublishing.org. And if you want to get in touch with me for anything, here is my email, asing@daisy.org. So great presenting to you. Thank you for your time. And I'm looking forward to provide you further breakthrough, further updates the next year. Thank you.
We have the time to take 1 or 2 questions. If you've got.
Thank you for that talk. It's really interesting. I think the idea of having a certification scheme for publishers is a really good idea. And we noticed that Benetech in the US have launched, or in the process of launching a scheme, GCA, on a commercial basis. And it's not cheap. And I think if there was something similar that DAISY could provide as an alternative, I think it would, it could generate revenue for DAISY. But there needs to be, I think there is a need for publishers to show that they have invested time and energy into making their products accessible, and some kind of accreditation scheme, I think, would be really desirable. And I'm sure that there would be commercial support for that. But it needs to be coordinated, because right now Benetech are pushing their scheme quite hard, and it would be great if we could engage with DAISY direct on maybe an alternative.
Well, DAISY is not an alternative. The scheme that Benetech has launched is driven by DAISY membership. DAISY consortium consists of more than 150 members around the world, and Benetech is one of them. The GCA is in partnership with DAISY. It's not something different. The difference is that GCA is highly puristic kind of certification. So Benetech is using ACE, they are using SMART, they are using the same tools, they are using the same framework. There is no difference. The only difference is that they are very much into certification, and we support that. At the same time, DAISY is wider. We involve certification, what Benetech is doing, what Vision Australia would be doing, what RNIB is doing. So RNIB is taking it forward in in UK. Benetech is doing in US. So there are different DAISY members doing in different countries. And DAISY is supporting certification as well as conformance. What if some publisher don't want to go for certification? They just want to ensure that their publications are accessible. Some countries may not be having such a strong requirement of certification. So DAISY Consortium supports all this scenario, and certification is just one strong case among them.